What's up, Rainmakers? I'm really excited about today's episode because we are going to break it down for you about traveling and specifically traveling with kids. I feel like we travel a lot with the boys. We have since both of them were born. And I think we figured out some really incredible systems that we want to share with you today. So, today's episode, we're talking all about traveling hacks for entrepreneurial parents, but I think this can be applied to everyone. And before we dive into those specific hacks, I want to tell you a story. Stephen and I have been traveling quite a bit since the start of December and will continue for the entire year. And we have TSA Pre, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But for the last couple of times I've gone through TSA Pre, I kid you not, every single time that we have flown the last couple of times, right as I'm walking through the metal detector, I put my items through the little carousel, and all of a sudden a noise goes off. And it's like ding, ding, ding. And it's basically I have been getting randomly selected for an extra screening. And why I'm sharing this story is because something like this several years ago would have completely derailed me. I would have been stressed. I would have been like, why is this happening? I would almost get like defensive with the TSA officer. And now it's become kind of a joke, and I expect to be randomly selected at the TSA pre-line. And now I literally said this to the TSA agent this last time. I said, oh my goodness. I said, I am blessed and highly favored, and Jesus loves me. And that's literally what I said. And they just need to take your phone and they like wipe it down. But literally, I am randomly selected every single time. And I have taken something that could have derailed me because it's the start of our trip. I could have let it derail me and stress me out and all these things. But now I'm just like, thank you. Thank you, God, that you love me so much that I get randomly selected out of hundreds of thousands of people that are flying through the airport. I know that this is going to be a good trip. So I'm pre-framing my mindset. Mindset is huge, especially when you travel with kids. So I just share that story to you to say, like, traveling used to be super stressful, even when we traveled just us. And now, sometimes there are bumps in the road, but overall, we've had a very positive traveling experience, both Steven and I, and traveling with kids. And a lot of the mindset has to do with it, as well as some of these hacks we're going to share with you.
So whether you travel all the time with your kids or you have been hesitant to travel with your kids, I think the biggest thing for us is just getting started. We started traveling very early on with our first baby, and we've just continued that trend. I think Ollie was on like 8 or 9 flights before he was even 6 months old. And so you develop systems, you develop rhythms. In this episode, we're gonna give you a couple tips, some apps, some things that have really worked well for our family. They're going to help you out. There's at least 12 of them we're going to go through, and you may know about some of these, you may not know about others, but these have been totally game changers for us. So the first one, you heard Chelsea mention it, is TSA Pre. Now there's a bunch of services like this, like Clear and Global Entry. Just whatever you do, just get one of them. Okay. The TSA Pre works for us. It lasts for about 5 years. It's like $90 or $99, or I don't know what the actual price is, but it's very affordable for how much time it saves you. No longer are you worried about getting to the airport way more in advance. Like, we will show up to the airport at the last minute because we know we can just get through really quickly with TSA Pre. When you get TSA Pre, they give you this like known traveler number. You just put that in when you're booking. We just make sure we 100% put that in. It applies to your kids too. And you get to go through basically the fast lane. It's like having the fast pass at Disneyland for the airport. And you don't have to take off your shoes, and you don't have to take out your laptop and do all that stuff that makes going through with kids a lot harder.
And I just want to say this from the get-go. I have never experienced so much kindness from complete strangers as I have when we travel. And I truly mean that. Everyone from the TSA gate check person to the flight attendants to the Amex lounge to the random strangers. Honestly, like, we've had a great experience with people like doting on and being extra sweet with our boys. And I just want to like put that at ease because I see so many moms stressing over how their kid is going to respond if they cry. What are people going to think? And I've had so many people offer to help, even when I'm traveling with Steven. And I've even traveled alone with Oliver and with Kaizen. And all of those times, I've had people from all different ages, from teenage boys to old grandmas and grandpas to college students help me out. And so
Yeah.
I just want you to rest assured that people will go out of the way to be kind. And that's also given me an opportunity to look for other mamas or other parents traveling and be extra kind. And just a quick story, we were traveling back from one of our trips and our boys were doing really well, but there's a baby about 4 or 5 rows back. And it was this poor baby, like screamed almost the entire flight. And nobody, like everyone around heard this baby screaming. And I was even talking with two other women, and all they had to say was, "Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for that poor baby. That poor baby must just be overly tired and sad and upset." And those poor parents, nobody around me was saying, "Oh my gosh, that stupid baby, someone shut him up." Nobody said that. And so I just want you to rest assured, even if you have a crying baby on the plane, it's going to be okay and people understand.
Hot tip number two, if you're a business owner, you better get a credit card that gives you points of some sort. And
Yes.
we really like Amex cards. They're like charge cards, which is kind of cool. They don't really have limits. Actually, we have learned they do have limits. If you spend
Amex
enough,
through American Express.
yeah, American Express. And so we use these to like run ads. We use these to buy inventory. And the cool thing is they have great travel perks. And one of those is there's these Amex lounges
Mhm.
all across the world. And we love these lounges. Now, you can't go in these lounges after you land. So this happens to be really helpful when you have a connecting flight and you're waiting for that next flight, or if you show up at the airport a little bit early and you got a little bit extra time. You just show your Amex card, you get into these like private lounges. There's free food, there's free drinks, there's great seating, there's space to lounge. And we love it, especially as a family where, Kai, it's just nice to like kind of have a little private space where he can just hang out and we can get food and snacks and drinks and all those things before the flight. So if we ever do arrive early, you'll find us in the Amex lounge. And it's just a awesome perk that's included with a credit card that we're already using for our business. Now, we also rack up a lot of points on that card, and Amex has preferred partners with like hotels and flights. And so we've gotten first class flights for free. We've gotten like premium luxury hotels that would cost thousands of dollars per night for free just by cashing in on those points that we're already spending this money in our business. You might
Mhm.
as well leverage that to your advantage. If you want to go deeper on that topic, we did interview the travel hacking moms on
Mhm.
this show. So search our episodes for one from the travel hacking moms, and they go deep on how to leverage credit cards to your advantage in your business for free travel.
Now, for traveling with young kids, we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old when this episode airs. We bring our big Uppa Baby stroller. It's like a 2-seater, it's like a stacker stroller, and it has tons of room on the bottom to put bags in. I know some families might make the toddler walk or they want to bring one of those little umbrella strollers. For traveling in the States, and we even took this to Mexico, we just travel with it. And not only is it nice to be able to especially put the baby in while we're walking, but there's so much storage underneath. Like we almost bring the stroller for the
Yeah,
storage
just to carry all the
underneath,
stuff.
just to carry all this stuff. Because we have a diaper bag that has everything you could need for a change of clothes. We have a snack bag that has everything. We have my pump bag that I always bring, my person, Steven's thing, and it's just a nice place to have it carried. And I will say this, we've traveled a lot with different airlines, and we've never had anyone bat an eye with how much stuff we bring in the stroller. Like they don't care. We are about to travel internationally to Europe. So we'll report back if those airlines care a little bit more. But especially places like Southwest, they don't care at all. They don't bat an eye.
Now, I've even seen families use those wagons from like Costco
Hmm.
in the airport. That can count as a stroller, and you can fit a ton in there and your kids, which is super awesome. And so we really bring the stroller. Like, yes, it's nice to put the kids in it, not to carry them all the time, but mostly it's to carry all the other stuff. So it's just really easy to go through. You're pushing one thing that's carrying everything.
Hmm.
And so that's why we do it. And so have a stroller that's easy to break down. You just go up, you check it at the gate, you get it when you get off the plane. It makes everything so much easier.
On to our next section, which is like getting on to the plane. And I think most parents know this, but loading up tons of snacks has been so important. And Kaizen like genuinely loves getting his little drink and snack on the airplane. He even last time like ordered, he said, "Apple juice, please," when it came time for him to get his drink. So they know how to order and they know that that special snack is coming. But it's just really like you just got to have extra snacks, like tons. Like if you think you have too much, just pack a few more
Yeah.
because our kids oftentimes after the airport, you're waiting for your bags. They want a snack, or in the car, you have a little bit of a drive to your hotel or wherever it is. And snacks work wonders, even if your
Yeah.
kids are tired. We just kind of have this rule that if they want a snack on a travel day, they get that snack.
Yeah, and we especially love busy snacks. We
Hmm.
call these busy snacks because they take a long time to eat.
Hmm.
And so it just like occupies a lot of time. Like they're
Yeah.
happy. And so like Ollie, for example, like he's 1 year old, but if you give him an apple and you just
Oh,
like take a
yes.
big bite out of it, he will just like play and like eat the apple for like the next, I mean, I think he ate an apple for like 45
Yeah.
minutes on this trip. And so we like to look for busy snacks, whatever that is in this season, that's going to kind of take them a long time to eat. Those really go a long way.
All right. Next up on the plane is we will usually buy one or two new little toys for Kaizen. Oliver, he'll play with whatever at this point, but I'll usually go to the dollar store. Kaizen loves sticker books, so we'll often get a couple different sticker books or off of Amazon, as well as some little fun little toys. And I know there's a bunch of like TikTokers and Instagrammers that you can find specific like toys that you can hook up to the window. But we always just try and like make it fun, like, oh, you
Something
get
new.
this new something new toy. I think that works really well.
Yeah, and we don't bust all this stuff out at the very beginning of the flight. You know, you kind of like wait. They're entertained. They're looking out the window, watching the bags go up, taking off. So you kind of wait for those moments where it's like, okay, it's time for something new. And you're like, guess what? You pull out the new toy, and it's just exciting. I remember the first flight we went on with my parents. They came along with us. This is a longer flight. I think they actually dripped out new toys. She went to the dollar store ahead of time,
Hmm.
and she would like bring a new toy out like every hour or every 45 minutes. And it would be like, okay, the timer went off. It's time for a new thing. And it'd just be like, not anything crazy. Just like, here's a dollar, thing from the dollar store. But it,
Hmm.
it was that really just kept Kaizen engaged, happy. We're not really big into screen time and like giving them an iPad and just calling it good. So we like to do something like this. Now we have been on flights that have the screen like in the seat. And it's
Hmm.
kind of unavoidable that we're going to probably watch some shows on there. But we like to entertain them with other
Hmm.
stuff before we just go straight to the
And
screen
even
time.
then, at least for our boys, because they've gotten tired of the show. And I know
Yep.
some parents like they will reward their kids like we're going on a trip, you get more iPad time. That's great. And maybe we'll cross that bridge later on. But for now, this has worked for us. And yeah, I think it's worked really well.
You heard me mention this, but sometimes we will bring my parents on a trip with us or something like that. So if you have a big trip, a big travel, or maybe you're going to the same destination, can you coordinate with someone else to come with you? Especially if you have a lot of kids, it makes it so much easier
Hmm.
when you have extra help, whether it's a friend or family member that's on the same plane. Like if you're going to the same place, you might as well coordinate schedules and try to get on that same plane, try to sit next to each other. And it goes a long way.
All right. So I think we're on hot tip number 7. Okay. I think it's 7. We might have gotten lots in there, but we want to talk to you about transportation. There's this awesome app company that we like to use as often as we can called Turo.
Turo is like Airbnb for your car. People rent their cars out on there, but honestly, Turo's kind of become its own industry. And there's people that run like full on car rental agencies off of Turo from their phone. And so the cool reason why we do love Turo is they will actually pick you up from the airport or drop the car off.
Mhm.
Some of them will leave the car in like the airport parking, but some of them will actually do like a curbside where they just literally you walk out with your family
Mhm.
in the stroller and they pull up with the car, you load it in, they like scan your ID and they leave. They just like walk off and you take the car. That makes it so much easier. So if you are
Mhm.
booking a Turo, try to look for the ones that come right to the airport or are really like within walking distance to a parking lot, one where you don't have to get on a shuttle, right? Because if you get on a shuttle, then that's more, movement and the
Mhm.
stroller breaking down and like all that stuff. So try to get one who, we pay extra to have them pick us up or, have it in a place that's like really nearby where we can just like walk to the lot. So Turo, that's Turo. We'll put links to all these things in the show notes. I'm sure we have some discount codes or something
Yeah,
like that.
definitely.
The other thing you can do with Turo that's going to save you is you can rent car seats through there as
Mhm.
well. And so we no longer pack the massive car seat on my back. We used to do that. And while it was fun to like have that extra space, you could like stuff a bunch more stuff in there. It just like kills your back. And that thing is
Yeah.
huge. And so just rent them through Turo. So when you're looking for cars on there, when you go to check out, there's little additions. Not everyone has one. So if you're looking at different cars, compare, make sure they have them because we're like, hey, we need 2 car seats for this car, right?
Mhm.
And they'll just be in the car ready for you to go when you get there.
Yeah.
that is such a huge time
hmm
saver.
And on the Turo front, most Turo car places have this as well. That we always make sure to check. There's two things. The first one is we always pay in advance for them to clean the car for you after you drop it off. Because honestly, when we rent a car, we were just at the beach. It was covered in sand. And Steve and I going to the airport, it's not the best time investment for us to go spend time cleaning that car. We'd rather pay somebody to save time so we can spend more time
Yeah.
with our family at the beach, and they will go and happily clean it, as well as we just always now pay for that full tank of gas for them to fill it up as well. That was something like way back in the day we used to be like, oh, I don't know, we want to pinch pennies. But you guys, like, I know some of these services might cost a little bit extra, but the stress that it saves you and the time that it saves you
Yeah.
is so worth it. So we will never not do those things
There's
anymore.
nothing worse than like, oh my gosh, my flight's leaving. And then you
Yeah.
have to get gas. And
And you
it's like
can't find the
the gas
airport.
station
Yeah.
right by the airport where it's super expensive.
Yeah. It's just
Like,
not worth
it's
it.
not worth the stress. And Turo, honestly, is a lot more affordable, I've found, than like a traditional rental car agency. And so you might be able to save money on the rental and then pay
hmm
for the additional expenses of like some of these add-ons. And it's like about the same price as renting a car.
Yeah. Especially traveling with kids. Like, you don't want to have to million stops. It's just like, get where you need to be, make it convenient. I promise it'll be worth it.
The next one on our list is one that we tried out for the first time on this last trip, and it's on the same front as the baby rentals, the car seats, and all that stuff. It's called BabyQuip, Baby QUIP. And this is a site that allows moms to just rent out their baby gear. And so type in where you're going, and we found a ton of moms who had a ton of gear and reviews and everything, and they will drop it off to where you're staying for you. And so for some of those bigger items, especially when you're in these younger stages, like we need a pack and play and a high chair and like all the stuff, right? And
hmm
so instead of trying to pack that stuff ourselves, we just rented it on a site to support another mom who has a great side hustle. So we showed up to our Airbnb. This time we used Airbnb, and there was all the stuff ready to go for us. So we didn't have to worry about packing that. And then on the last day, she picked it up. It was all good and super, super easy. So babyquip.com, we're definitely using that one again.
Yes, and Steven mentioned it, but another site we love using, we'll make sure to have a code for you, is Airbnb. When we travel with the boys, for the most part, especially if we're having an extended stay, we prefer renting a house, going off an Airbnb, because you can spread out. I don't know about you, but we've definitely been in hotel situations where like one of the boys is napping or both the boys are napping and we're trying to get work done and I'm trying to sleep, and it's just not very convenient. And so we found Airbnb, and a lot of Airbnbs will come with baby things. It's just this one that we were staying at happened to not have as many amenities. So that's why we use BabyQuip to rent from. But we love Airbnb. We have an Airbnb ourselves. We're building another Airbnb. We love the community of Airbnb. All right. And this next one that we are about to talk about felt a little risky for me to do, but we did it and we had a great experience. And that is hiring a babysitter off of care.com. So we went to care.com. Stephen did the research. We found the area. He set up the profile, did all the things, and we hired somebody off of care.com. This past trip that we did, we were there for a longer period of time and our family had flown home. And I tried reaching out to people in the area saying, hey, do you know anyone who would be willing to help for a couple hours, a few afternoons? And nobody knew anyone. So it was just like, well, we can give this a shot and see how it goes. And so we did. So we were at the house working, or one of us was at the house working at all times. And then there were times once we got to know this person that we did leave, but we wanted to have some solo time and some work time in. And we knew that it wouldn't really happen unless we hired somebody. So on care.com, Steven found somebody. She had reviews. She seemed really great. And we were just willing to kind of take a risk on a total stranger.
So care.com, I think, is primarily used to find like nannies, and we have used it for that. But they actually have a new feature on there that just says one-time sitter. And it's
Mhm.
really cool because you can actually book through the app like in advance, like you would like an Airbnb. So you say, I need a one-time sitter. You set the date, you set the time frame of what you need, and then it gives you a bunch of options. Here's like 10 people in the area who are available. Then you can look at their profiles and you can choose your favorites on there. It reaches out to them, and whoever's available can take the job and you can approve them, right? And so it's really cool because you still get that kind of curation of being able to like look at people's profiles, look at the reviews, vibe them out, make sure it's a good fit. and then choose the one that works for you. And so it's really cool because you book through care.com and they like guarantee they're going to find someone for you within 24 hours.
Wow.
And so it's really sweet that you get that confidence knowing you're going to have someone. But you also still get some choice in there and it's not just some random person showing up. Now, what we did is we just used the website to get the first date, but then we messaged the person to say, hey, we also might need you come Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and kind of like pitched a couple other days to her. And for those, we just Venmoed her. It was just a lot easier than
Mhm.
just going through the app and booking a bunch of dates. We
Mhm.
just like, once we built the relationship, we just keep working with her and then, Venmo her just one to one.
Yeah. So I like as a mom, I'm super protective of who the boys are being watched by, but I just knew like Steven and I were going to be around. We weren't just leaving and letting a stranger in. We were going to be around, which I think is a great way to do it, especially if you're, entrepreneur parent, so you can travel, but also get a little bit of work time and solo time. We were just upstairs for part of the time so we could hear everything, which is kind of how we do life anyway with our current nanny at home. Like we're around a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Obviously we trust her, and then through that it built trust. And then like I think the next day I left for a few hours and came back, and the very last day that we had her, you and I took
Yeah.
a
We both
meeting
took off for a little
outside of the
bit.
house and
Yep.
the boys were totally fine.
Yep.
So I will
You can ease
definitely,
into it.
yeah, you can ease into it. And I think like doing this in another city with someone we don't know, I would do the same approach because, it does initially make my mama's heart go
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know. But I think there's ways that you can do it to be smart.
Yeah. And if you're hiring someone more long term or you just want to do your due diligence, like they do have features on care.com. You can have like a more extensive background check and things like that done. But we honestly just went off a lot of the reviews on there for
Mhm.
this person and just her profile and talking to her. It was just like, hey, this will be fine.
Yeah.
So care.com. This one's a little bit more technical, but if you are working on the fly, here's a couple things that I've found very helpful. One is having a mobile hotspot. So, you never know what Wi-Fi is going to be like when you're traveling. Like sometimes the Wi-Fi is awesome, sometimes it's not.
Mhm.
And so having the mobile hotspot feature on your phone enabled, like what if you have to pay a little bit extra for that? It's so worth it to just turn your phone if you have cellular data into a mobile hotspot. You can just work off your phone anywhere. I love this because yeah, sometimes like you think the Wi-Fi is going to work and it doesn't. And it's just nice to not be like tied to like the performance of the Wi-Fi. You can always hook to your phone. On that note, when you're traveling, you want to stay safe online. And so when traveling and you're using a bunch of different Wi-Fis, we definitely like to stay safe. So we use a VPN, it stands for a virtual private network. Without getting nerdy, this is just a simple thing you can install that will basically just protect you online a little bit extra than just hopping on a public Wi-Fi. So the one we use is called NordVPN. I'll put a link in the chat where you can get some savings for NordVPN. It's really affordable. I think it's like $2.99 a month or something like
Mm.
that. It's just an app you install, and when you connect to it, it just does its magic, and then you connect to the public Wi-Fi. And so, if you're trying to stay safe online, I would definitely do that. And the last one is one that I saw my friend had, and I was like, "What is that? That's awesome! I need that." And it's actually just a screen privacy protector for your laptop. And so we are traveling using our laptop all the time in the airport and sometimes doing confidential things on there. And so these are little magnetized
Mhm.
little screen protectors that just kind of like magnet onto your laptop.
Yeah.
And you can see the laptop totally fine, but anyone from like a side angle can't see
Mhm.
anything. It's so crazy because sometimes I'll have it on there and I forget it's on there. I'm like, hey, Chelsea, check this out. And she's like, your laptop's off,
Yeah.
and
I
like,
can't
it just looks
see.
like black. I'm like, oh my gosh, just look, and I turn it and then she can see it. So
Mhm.
it's pretty crazy. And it's just one of those things that's kind of nice to have. It's like sometimes you like find yourself like
Mm.
typing in a credit card on a plane, you like turn the brightness way down. You're like, I hope no one's just like copying this down as I'm doing it from behind me. And so the screen protector, it's like $15 off Amazon. And it's just a fun accessory to have when traveling and keeping yourself secure.
Okay, the second to last one here. But when you're on vacation or on a trip, you might find yourself shop until you drop in. Shop until you drop. I don't know. Anyway, all that to say, on this trip, it was our 10-year anniversary. It was Steven's birthday. We were in Orange County. Chico doesn't have a lot of good shopping. So we did some more intensive shopping than we normally do. We kind of like updated Steven's summer wardrobe. He hasn't bought new clothes for the summer in like, I don't know how many years. We bought some stuff for myself and the boys, and like we just We ended up getting more things than I think our suitcases could handle. And we kind of like knew that that might happen. And so we did try and pack accordingly. But I just want to give you permission. Say, like, you're in a new place and you find like this really cool thing at a thrift store or antique store, buy the new whatever, and you don't have room in your suitcase. We just like bought a huge box and like shipped it back to us. And I don't know if this would be like, I don't know if I do this in another country per se, but just in the United States, it's so easy to like just go to the post office and ship your stuff back for you. That's why it's less stuff you're dragging through the airport, especially if you find something really cool that you like don't want to like go home without. So
Yeah.
that was just one little fun thing that we like did that made it super easy.
Yeah, and cost wise, I mean, some airlines, if let's say you have an oversized, over heavy extra bag, right, and you have to
Hmm.
pay for that, it could be $100. It might be more affordable to actually just ship it to you. And even if not, like I think ours was pretty heavy, and I think it was like $150.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big box on this trip, but it was like the savings of not having to haul that in like two extra suitcases with kids.
Yeah.
I was like 100%. That'll
Yeah.
be here on Wednesday.
And then the last and final thought that I want to say, and if you have anything you want to wrap up with, I think just traveling as an entrepreneur with kids, because that's what this episode was about. I just want to give you a little mindset check to have and just like go into open handedly. And I honestly, we travel with the boys, I expect that the traveling is going to be good. Like that is the mindset that I have. And if there are bumps that happen along the way, which we've had luggage not show up, we've had things arrive late and we're tired and all these things. Like we just have a mindset of like, wow, this is so cool that we get to travel with our family, and we're going to choose to have a positive attitude and be kind to people around us. And I think through that, like we've attracted people back to us that are really kind. And so if you're a parent who maybe travels a lot with your kids, or you have littles or different ages, like I hope that you will take some of the tips that have worked for our family and apply it to ours. But just know more than anything, like it's totally doable to travel with kids and to not be exhausted, to not be cranky. Like you can do it and you can do it well. And like our family is an example that that can actually happen.
So that's it. Hope these travel tips are going to upgrade your travel lifestyle. Definitely share this episode with a friend who has a trip coming up. Hopefully, it'll help them out as well. And until next time, we'll see you on the next episode of the Rainmaker Family Show.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rainmaker Family Show. Hey, if you are not a part of our Rainmaker Mastermind, we have a new opportunity for you to book a one-on-one strategy call with one of our Rainmaker coaches.
If you want to get a call with them, see if it's a good fit for you to work with us to build a business that allows you to have time freedom and financial freedom, you can get that call at makeitrainmama.com/podcast. That's makeitrainmama, MOMMA.com/podcast.